This is Max Entman here at CSIS, where we've just hosted Secretary of State Hillary Rodham Clinton for a discussion on the opportunities that exist for the United States and the Americas region. I'm here with Stephen Johnson. He's the director of the CSIS Americas program. Stephen, can you tell me what you thought some of the key points were from Secretary Clinton's speech?
The Secretary basically gave a summary of the President's policy and really went all throughout the hemisphere. She touched on all of the key regions: Central America, North America, South America, and the key issues, which involve economics, trade, clean energy development, shared interests, as well as values, deepening democratic practices in certain parts of the hemisphere, as well as clean energy development. One of the key things, though, that I think was that came out of this speech was that she highlighted the role of competitiveness in the hemisphere and how much America's exports depend on markets in Latin America, and how much trade relationships with these countries depend. I think that's important as we go into this cycle where we're considering approval of trade agreements with Colombia and Panama. I think there was a very distinct message here on that. But on top of that, she drew another parallel that really interested me, and that is the 50th anniversary of the Alliance for Progress, and the hopes that past leaders of the United States and leaders in the hemisphere had as we began to get really interested in our neighbors in the hemisphere and began to work with them on transitions to democratic governance and market openings. And now, as we come into the picture 50 years later, we've got a hemisphere that is very much more developed in this regard, and also much more, in certain ways, competitive than we are. Chile, for instance, has dozens of free trade agreements with countries all over the world. We only have a handful. That's just one example.
Well, I was very intrigued by the Secretary's remarks on the fact that, in fact, we do more trade with the Latin American region than we do with China. We export more there in the United States. I don't think that's something a lot of Americans know.
And 40% of our exports go to Latin America as well. So these markets are very important, and streamlining them so that they're much more efficient means jobs here in the United States.
Excellent. And one last point that I thought was interesting, she touched on the shared values we have with Latin America and why that gives us such a great opportunity in the United States to partner on various issues. She spoke a lot about the democratic transitions we've seen occur in Latin America over the past 30 years. Can you touch on that, Stephen?
Well, first of all, shared values. You know that we are, in the United States, a country of immigrants, and many of these immigrants over not only decades but even centuries have come from other parts of the hemisphere. Sure. Latin America, the Caribbean, and these cultures have intermingled with our own, and so we do have shared values, and we do have certain ways of looking at things. So the development of democracy within the hemisphere is something that's both natural, but it's something that we have to nurture and to shepherd and bring along, because it's hard work. Making it possible for citizens to play a part in the decisions that their countries make. And certainly we hope to see that progress will continue. As she alluded to, in the 1970s, this was a hemisphere of mostly military or autocratic style governments, military dictatorships or autocrats. And yet, when we look at the hemisphere now, that's largely receded. There's exceptions to that rule, but things have changed quite a bit. So for all of us in the Americas that believe in democracy and open markets, be careful what we wish for.
Stephen, thank you so much. You can watch the full video of Secretary Clinton's speech, as well as a highlight package from her speech at csis.org or on iTunes U. Thanks again.